He's so loving and patient and trying to train us and help us. Physically, we know we need to go to the meetings. We know we need to go out in ministry. But he's trying to help us with the way we think as well. And that will encourage us to be more successful. When we think the right way, we'll be more successful in doing the things that we need to do physically, much like the athletes. It's acknowledged. Negative thinking affects their ability to perform. Same with us spiritually. And that's a much, much more important thing to reflect on. In that 4th chapter, notice what our trainer says our focus should be on. Let's look together in verse 25. Our trainer says, your eyes should look straight ahead. Yes, fix your gaze straight ahead of you. Well, what is it that we're looking ahead towards? Well, Jesus set the example. It says, for the joy that was set before him, the things in connection with God's kingdom. We're reminded in Corinthians to not look at the things seen, but the things unseen. The things unseen is the kingdom realities that are soon to be right at our doorstep. If we don't focus on the kingdom, we'll get distracted. Now, we've already made the point that Jehovah can help us with transformation. Perhaps we've made mistakes. We've seen how he can change us. We've already seen that description. But we're going to take a look at that again, and even with a little slight different angle. Even if we've made mistakes in the past, Jehovah's given the ransom. We submit to whatever direction through the congregation he provides, discipline, and then we focus ahead. He says the kingdom is what's important, and there are so many of Jehovah's servants who are being used in responsible positions that have made mistakes in their past that you wouldn't even believe. That's the type of God we serve. He wants, if you keep your focus on the kingdom, submit to his training, there's no telling how you can be used in the future by Jehovah. That's the way he is. But where it can be even more of a challenge sometimes for God's people is when they think negatively about experiences they've had in the past where things didn't go the way that they should have, perhaps with other Christians or with organizational arrangements. The reality is, when you look at the scriptures, you see both with the pre-Christian accounts and the Hebrew scriptures, those with responsibility sometimes didn't do things the right way. Brothers and sisters didn't treat each other the right way. You look at the Christian scriptures. The Apostle Paul, who was used so mightily, my goodness, he says that there are people out there that were getting him on purpose. They were trying to discredit him and to hurt him. The first time he was in prison, Philippians is where he says that in Philippians chapter 1, verses 15 through 19. Read it. You'll be shocked. And how he kept his focus ahead. In 2 Timothy chapter 4, you'll see that when Paul was first in prison, in chapter 4, you'll see that he mentions that nobody came to see him. Here, he had sacrificed so much. He's in prison, and they all forsook him. So, both in the Bible and in modern times, you'll be shocked. Those that are used by Jehovah have not always had things done the right way. Some of them were hurt or offended by other servants. Sometimes organizationally adjustments were made and it affected them in a negative way. It happens. But here's where Proverbs 4:25 gets in the way. You'll have people that are serving on branch committees and the traveling work with all kinds of privileges. They've had worse things happen to them in the past, but they keep their eyes focused on what's important. They know the trainer says, look, I'll straighten everything out in the kingdom. Just get busy. We got work to do. The kingdom is all it's about. Quit being so sensitive. Get over your hurt feelings. And we got work to do. Keep your eyes focused ahead. But unfortunately, we don't adopt that thinking at times, and it hurts us. Just to show you how it hurts us, we can think of it in a literal way. Let's say you're walking down Barwick Road. You're leaving the Kingdom Hall. You're walking down Barwick Road. Let's say you're heading towards Atlantic Avenue. Now, you trip and fall. Perhaps there was an uneven sidewalk, or perhaps somebody cut you off. You trip and fall. So what do? You get back up. You're not happy about it. You brush yourself off. And if you want to get to Atlantic Avenue, what are you going to do? You're going to start walking towards Atlantic Avenue. But let me ask you this. How successful is your walk going to be? Let's say Atlantic is this direction where I'm facing right now. How successful is your walk going to be if you are focused? So you're trying to walk in this direction, but you keep turning back. You're trying to head forward, which we all know we have to do, but you're focused on the back. What's going to happen? Well, if you're not looking where you're going, the chances of you falling are going to be much more. It's going to be a higher possibility for you to fall again because you're not focused on where you need to be. Somebody else is going to trip you. Something else is going to trip you because bottom line, God says, I know it happens. The kingdom is the answer. I never said that this was paradise. This is the best it's going to be. But keep focused. And spiritually, way too many of God's servants get stuck on something that happened or somebody did. And quite frankly, things have happened to everybody with all kinds of responsibilities, but they keep their focus. And when you keep looking back, you hurt yourself spiritually, and many times you hurt your family spiritually. We got work to do. The kingdom's the answer. Let's get it done and keep our focus. That's what the trainer says. But sometimes we get to feel that we're the only ones that ever had something happen that wasn't right. Wake up. It's in the Bible. It's happening today as well. But that's not what it's all about. It's all about the kingdom and what our trainer says we should be doing. Now, sometimes, because of what we've inherited, where we struggle with our thinking is we have low self-esteem, and sometimes because of the mistakes we made or other things that have happened in our past, we struggle with that. Jehovah knows that. But the thing about our great God, Jehovah, as our trainer, he's trying to help us to see that even though we might not feel we're up to it, or we might not feel that we have value, we might think that we're not worth anything. Take a look at what he says in Haggai chapter 2. In Haggai, the 2nd chapter, Jehovah assessed everyone that is willing to listen to him and accept the kingdom message. And when he assessed them, in that 2nd chapter of Haggai, he says something that's very significant for you and I to reflect on. Even though we might not feel we are worth anything. In chapter 2, at verse 7, it says this: And I will shake all the nations, and the precious things of all the nations will come in, and I will fill this house with glory, says Jehovah of armies. Verse 7, very powerful. According to Jehovah, simply because we respond to the kingdom message humbly, we appreciate it, that puts us on a level that most of mankind is not. From Jehovah's vantage point, even though we've made mistakes, even though we trip up, we fall again, we trip up, even though we got scars, we hurt ourselves, we've done stupid things, all of us have. We're messed up. We're inclined to do the wrong thing, the scripture said. Even though, because we humbly say to him, please, trainer, help me, teach me, because we respond that way, we have a category that the rest of mankind doesn't. We're viewed as precious, and the footnote says desirable. So from Jehovah's vantage point, because we're here, we're precious and desirable. Now the challenge is, though, with our own thinking. And there are things that perhaps aren't pleasant that have happened, mistakes that we've made that aren't pretty. We may have the scars, that's true. But we have a tendency to focus on negative. Sometimes it's with our brothers and sisters, and that's another discussion. But so often with ourselves, we focus on negative experiences. And we let that become our focus, and it hurts us spiritually. We don't remember that according to Jehovah, we are precious and desirable. We look at the warts, the scars, but that is something that we need to adjust, because in life, without realizing it, we already can look beyond face value. We have to learn to do that with regards to our God. He says we're precious and desirable. Here's something that we always do. We look at things and we see through the obvious ugliness and recognize the value. We do it all the time in our day-to-day life. We just don't do it with ourselves. If we could use this little example here. This is a $10 bill. Now, this $10 bill has seen its better days. It's been beat up, tore up. In fact, it's tore up in a few different places. It's not pretty when it comes to other $10 bills that are fresh and crisp. But to show you appreciate value beyond the face value, I guarantee you that if you were to take this $10 bill to the store, even though it's beat up and tore up, you would get $10 worth of goods from it, wouldn't you? Because you know, even though it's beat up, tore up, ripped up, it's still worth $10. It still holds its value. And we recognize that every day. Well, Jehovah says that with regards to you and I. He knows we're messed up, tore up. We've had experiences, we're beat up, we got the scars. But because he sees in us the fact that we're willingly submitting to his training, we're saying, please help me out, help my family out. Because he sees that, he says that we are the precious and desirable ones. No one else. But you and I, because we respond to the Creator the way we do, we are precious and desirable. He looks beyond those scars. He looks beyond all the ugly spots that are there. We have to let Jehovah help us to look at ourselves that way. See, Satan wants us to view, oh, we're not worth anything, we can't do it, forget it, I'm worthless, because then that will kill our efforts to worship our God, affect our joy, and we're falling right into the hands of the devil. Jehovah's not a critic. He's not a pessimist. He doesn't have a dark, negative outlook. He sees things for what they are, beyond the obvious warts, scars, problems. He sees our value, and we're precious and desirable in his eyes. So let's remember that he thinks better than we think, and that includes accepting him helping us with our thinking. Remember, our mental attitude can determine our success in life, and way too often with Jehovah's people, negative thinking has a negative impact on their worship. Let's let the happy, joyful God help us with our thinking. He only wants what's best, and he guarantees that if we let him help us, if we let him train us, we will be firm, strong, and stable. So let's let him finish our training. Well, unfortunately, Alicia and I, this is our last visit with you, and we have to acknowledge that it came pretty quick, the 3 years, and we have thoroughly enjoyed them, and we're going to miss being able to visit you every 6 months. And frankly, because we live right here, we're going to miss seeing you on a more regular basis as well as we come by. We'll be moving in September to our new assignment, which is in Plant City, Florida. It's a circuit of about 20 congregations as well. It's a different environment, still Jehovah's people, and there's still some cities there. We've got Lakeland and Davies City and Brandon and Zephyr Hills. We're about 30 minutes away from Tampa. And in Plant City, we've got a nice little apartment there. So it's a little different. Here we got neighbors, we got a golf course and what have you. But on both sides of us, we're really, at the apartment that we're staying in, we're surrounded by cows. So that'll be a little different. But they're friendly cows, and so nothing the matter with that. But we just wanted to tell you that we thoroughly enjoyed the 3 years. And we'll still be in Florida, we'll still be around. We've got an eternity. Our relationship is not bound by just the here and now. So we have a lot to look forward to. We're going to conclude, though, by singing our song.